Hey people, it's Steel Gamer here with a Red Dead Redemption 2 video with 10 blatant lies about Red Dead Redemption 2 online. Before getting into this video, I'm going to do the disclaimer as I usually do and get it right into it afterwards. Okay, so the disclaimer here. This video is not for fucking kids or children. I will not and do not have to be subjected to and or accept and follow this bullshit game playing of not knowing what I can and cannot do. Both YouTube and the FTC can fuck off with the It's a Law requirement scare tactic. COPPA is not defined, which means it cannot be followed or legally enforced in its current format. I will not agree to a guideline which allows YouTube and or the FTC to determine kids' content whenever they feel like. When both YouTube and the FTC want to have an explicit black and white list explaining what is kids' content, I will be more than happy to follow and be compliant. Until then, both YouTube and the FTC can go fuck themselves. So, that's out of the way. Let me get into 10 blatant lies about Red Dead Redemption 2 online. Now, what I mean by that is not what it was advertised. It's the actual content within the game that is claimed to be possible, but really can't. So, I'm going to start with the menu options type of thing and then work backward into the game. So, starting at number 1. There is no tutorials online whatsoever for the online portion of this. Now, anybody that watches my channel knows that I fucking hate and have a huge despisement toward any reject developer and the community that follows them that accepts this as being okay. A tutorial has lost its meaning in the fashion of gaming because idiot fucking gamers don't understand that the word tutorial, when they say it, means the instruction for it is spoon-fed to the player with all steps included. So if something takes 10 steps to do, if all 10 steps aren't present, then it's not a fucking tutorial. Case in point, in the game, you can fish. Now, when you go to get the fishing rod, what happens is you're not told anything and not told how to fish. That's why there are questions asking how to fish. Clearly, if there was a tutorial, there would be no questions on how to actually fish. So, what happens is people think, and these fucking idiot game developers think by saying you need a rod to fish, that somehow that's an instruction. Wrong. That's what to do. That is not how to do it. Somehow the fucking idiots in the development team and the game developers, or whoever the fuck is responsible for this, and the gamers somehow think what to do is an instruction. Wrong. So, case in point, if you get a fishing rod and you need to know how to fish, all of the steps for how to fish is supposed to be explained. So, step 1, you buy a rod. Step 2, it tells you, equip your fishing rod by going into your inventory and doing whatever, and then going through those steps. Step 2, you need to bait your fishing rod, and here is how to do it, and then explain all those steps. Step 3, you cannot equip the fishing rod unless you're in or near water. Step 4, this is how to cast it, and then you go through all this shit. What I just explained is an actual tutorial. There is no information like that in the game with any mechanic in here, which means there is no tutorial in the game. Number 2. Starting the Moonshiners update. Let me explain what I mean by that. And when I'm talking about this, I'm referring to keybinds. Now, for purposes of this video, I use a wireless Xbox One controller, so I will be using that keybind as an example. What drives me out of my fucking mind is when people have an instruction on the screen that is an actual keybind and then start fucking arguing and trying to say there's exception to that, but yet they'll argue with you about, like what I did in Mass Effect 2. R reloads your gun. That is a keybind. So when you press R, your gun reloads. You don't press R and then there's a bunch of stipulations. No, you press R because R is the keybind for reloading. Now, when you get to the screens inside the Moonshiners update, it says, press X to become a Moonshiner. Pressing X to become a Moonshiner is the exact same fucking thing as pressing R to reload. If you press X and you're brought into the game and you're not, the Moonshiner update hasn't started, then that is a fucking lie. It doesn't exist. So people with these fucking keybinds and trying to make exceptions, but that's not what it means. Fuck off. It says press X to become a Moonshiner. When you press X, you're supposed to become a Moonshiner. That is a fucking lie on the screen. Number 3, buckle awards for progression. This is another thing that drives me out of my fucking mind. When game developers put awards into the game and then never tell you how to access them or if they're even a physical thing. So, for example, you get these so-called buckles as awards for when you go into progression, where it says if you do X amount of things, or if you complete X amount of tasks. So one of them is, for example, ride from point A to point B. So it's like ride from Valentine to, I don't know, the freaking Emerald Ranch in under a certain amount of time. Once you do that, it says buckle awarded. They don't explain to you what the fuck that means. Now, people can go, well, it's obvious. Fuck off. What the fuck does that mean? Say, you need to tell the player what the hell this means. Is it an actual item? Is it something that you can wear? Is it something that you can show? Like, what the fuck is this? So buckle awards, if they're as far as an actual item, is a fucking lie because you don't have them. It just says you got them. Now, if that is an actual award, what does it do? Next, 3. Let me see. Sorry, that was 3. Let me go into 4 here. Selling stolen horses. All right, give me 1 second because I have to look something up with this. Because I got to get the guy's name. Clay. Okay. In the beginning of the game, when you're going online, and you create your character, you basically go through this, to get you into the game, your storylines, you've broken out of prison. You run into this character, Clay. Clay point blank tells you, if you have a stolen horse, sell it to him. The reason why that's a lie is because you cannot sell stolen horses in online because you can't steal horses in online. It's not possible to steal them. If you try to go on somebody else's horse, it kicks you off of it or will not let you. Like, you can't steal another player's horse. So they didn't explain what stealing a horse means, and the only thing you can apply to it is to take another player's horse, which means you can't steal horses. Furthermore, if you try to call a wild horse, that's not a stolen horse. That's you taming a wild horse and going in there, which you cannot sell. Third, Clay disappears from the fucking map. He's not even in there. Like, if you go to the inventory and you go to the index, he's not even in the map. So, despite you being told in part of the game when you go into online, Clay says if you have a stolen horse, come sell it to him, that is a blatant lie. Number 5, using a knife to get out of being hogtied. This is a lie because you can't do anything when you're in the middle of being hogtied. When you're being hogtied, you have somebody on top of you tying you up. You can't open your inventory or do anything. So, using a knife to getting out of being hogtied is 100% false. Number 6, Lasso reel-in. This one drives me out of my fucking mind. Apparently, when you lasso somebody from a distance, it does nothing. It just sits there. Great, you lassoed them. Apparently, there's people showing that their character is reeling it. You can't do that. There's no way to actually lasso somebody and reel them in. Now, I want to be clear. Despite people doing it in there, they're using some form of cheat. And people can look and laugh and all they want. The fact remains is, I have it on video where I lassoed somebody. There's no way to reel them in. Like, you can't lasso them and then pull them. If you throw it at a distance, your character just stands there. There's no way to use any buttons or the control, the joysticks, or anything, the thumbsticks or anything to actually use that tactic. The only way you can lasso somebody and hog tie them is to get right on top of them and do it. So reeling somebody in is a lie. Okay, number 7. Finding arrowheads. I went into this is the main reason I called Rockstar, or Rockstar called me, or I contacted them. Okay, finding arrowheads in the game is not possible. That is a blatant lie. Now, this does not translate into you cannot get arrowheads in the game. Finding them is the key wording I'm using here. So, when you have using treasure, finding treasure as an example, I will make the comparison here. All right, if you want to go to find a treasure, this is the procedure for doing this. You get a treasure map, by whatever means, you open it. The game then triggers a spot on the map that you have to open up and look for, which is a yellow circle. In that yellow circle is a point where they're using that to draw around the circle, whatever. But anyway, it says, here's the base location. When you get to that location and you're using a controller, you can use Eagle Eye to highlight stuff that's gold. It'll glow gold. Like, you can find plants with it. But if that thing is hidden behind something, using Eagle Eye doesn't matter. It's pointless. It's not going to help you find it. However, the controller actually vibrates stronger as you get closer to the treasure. Therefore, you have a system for finding the treasure. Finding arrowheads has no system, which means you can't find them. All of these videos that people show online aren't finding them. What they've done is they've shown you where it is, but that isn't finding the arrowhead. So all these people looking at these videos and saying, I found the arrowhead. You didn't find the arrowhead. Somebody showed you where it was, or you read a guide that pinpointed the exact place in that circle where you went, and then you went to it and dug it up. You obtained it, but you didn't find it. The issue here is that there's no system for finding these things. That's the key. So, finding arrowheads in the game has no system, and it's a blatant lie that you can find them. You can dig them up if you know where they are, but you have no idea how to use the game system in order to find out where they are. All right. Number 8. Clothing in snow and cold temperatures. Now, the game reacts, your character reacts to the environment you're around. If you're in cold temperatures, you will get cold. If your horse's balls are in cold temperature, they'll shrink. The game reacts to you. People say, well, just, wear warm clothing. You cannot do this because in order for you to change your clothing, you have to be in your wardrobe. You cannot just open up your inventory and throw a coat on. It doesn't work that way. So whatever clothing you have on and you wind up going into snow or cold temperatures, if you do not have warm clothing on, you are fucked. You cannot change your clothing while you're in the middle of doing that. It requires you to go there. It requires you to go somewhere where there's a wardrobe and then go back to it. That is not the same thing as changing. They're acting like, well, wear something warm in snow and cold temperatures. You can't, because if you have a task that you get from somebody and you have no idea where they're going to send you. There's random places. They could send you up in the mountains. They could. But if you have no idea where you're going inside the game, you have no idea if you're heading up to the mountain. So if you don't actually change your clothing before going to the mountain because you don't know you're going there, you will never be able to change your clothing. So changing clothing in snow and cold temperatures is not possible unless your camp is in the mountains. So that's a blatant lie too. And what I'm getting at is these games are so deceptive on what they're doing is that people will try to play word semantics with this. If you're going to tell somebody to wear warm clothing in the snow and cold, that means you're telling them they automatically already know they're going to that place, which is not possible online. So if you wind up getting one of these things, yeah, you can look up and then try to change your clothing, but some of these things don't work when you're in the middle of a mission. So changing your clothing to adjust to where you are during a mission is not true. If you want to change it and go up there on your own, that's fine. But when you're in missions, that can't happen. So, number 9. You cannot rest at your camp. Now, let me clarify what the fuck this means. Tents in the camp are fucking useless. You can get a covered thing. You can get a ground bed. You cannot sleep in them. Now, obviously, when you're online, everybody goes by the same schedule. You can't actually sleep in your bed. However, you can't rest in them either, because it says resting at your camp replenishes your stamina and your cores and stuff like that. However, sitting by the fire is not resting. Lying down is resting, and you can't lie down in your bed. No matter what tent you get, you cannot lie down in your bed. Tents are useless. They're only there for cosmetic to try to actually make the play experience, a little bit more realistic. But the fact that you cannot actually rest at your camp is a lie. They're saying you can't rest at your camp. You can't rest at your camp. You can sit by the fire, but that's not the same thing as lying down on a bed. So this is, again, these word semantics that these fuckers are playing. Number 10, and final, repeating guns. A repeating gun, according to the way they're portraying it, is that this is an automatic. This is false. A repeating gun and a regular shot gun fire the same way. You do not have rapid fire when it comes to repeating guns. You just don't. Rapid fire doesn't exist. And so when you're dealing with this, you're dealing with, sorry, it got caught in there. So my video just actually went out. That was a little weird. Okay, so when you're dealing with this, in case I don't know what got cut off, so I'll just repeat this entire thing. Repeating guns are being portrayed as they're rapid fire, like you could shoot bang, 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 bang. That's not true. You can't rapid fire with guns. A repeating gun and a single shot gun fire the exact same way. There's no way to actually rapid shot these guns, which is what they're being portrayed as. So there's no reason to be naming them this, because you cannot rapidly fire with them. So you're better off just getting a regular shot, a single shot gun, because these are they're pointless. They don't do anything. Now, this list of 10 things is just some of the stuff I found and I came up with. But the fact is that these are the top 10 list of things that I just explained here are point-blank, blatant lies that the game is portraying, or people have actually said you can do, which you can't. And if you go into the game and try any of this stuff, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And again, I want to be clear about, I think it's number 3 here. No, number 2. Yeah, starting the Moonshiners update. Again, this is one of these things where if you go into the menu, it says X, or like I said, I'm using a wireless Xbox One controller on the PC. So the button configuration, the button keybind for becoming a Moonshiner is X. It doesn't say press X to learn about becoming a Moonshiner, or any of these additional things that people would add into this to say, well, that's not what it means. It literally says press X to become a Moonshiner. That's the same thing as saying press R to reload. When you press R in some games, R to reload, it's the keybind for reloading. There is no exception or stipulation to that. What gets me is the fucking idiots that try to argue with me about, oh, that's different. It's a fucking keybind that says something on the screen. And people are like, oh, you're just being nitpicky, you're being semantical. If I'm being semantical, which is another fucking word I can't stand people using to try to get out of arguments. If I'm being semantical, what you're saying is that keybinds are invalidated by that one thing. You can't say it's a semantical argument when I'm making this comparison without applying that argument to every single keybind in any game ever made. A keybind's a keybind. When you press it, it does stuff. Period. That's what's supposed to happen. That's why I use Mass Effect 2 as an example, because one of the things on screen, it says hold left shift to switch your weapon. That is saying when you press or hold left shift, your weapon is going to switch. That is what the fucking keybind says. That's what it says on the screen. But it's funny to watch people argue, say, well, that's not what it means, but we'll have no problems accepting our reloads. It's ridiculous. That argument is ridiculous. So I'm just going to end this video. That's really all I want to get out of the way is 10 blatant lies about Red Dead Redemption 2 online. And anybody that wants to challenge this, I don't want to hear you say it can be done or have references about other people. Oh, other people did it. Point blank, make a video, fully detailed instructions going over everything you're doing to prove this. Otherwise, don't bother even coming at me with saying this works because you're just a fucking troll and I'll block you or I'll delete your comments or something like that because it's unrelated. So unless you can actually prove by in-game methods along with a detailed voice narrated tutorial, not an open text document, today I'm going to show you this. No, you fucking make a video. You want to dispute this, you come up with your own videos. You back it up, you say it. I don't want to see a link to another video that there's, no, you want to describe, somebody wants to dispute this, you personally need to make a video and then show it with your own narration and your own gameplay. If you can't do that, then you have no credibility and I'm not listening to it, period. So, that's all I got to get out of the way. Steel Gamer signing off. You guys have a good day or night wherever you are.